Unshakable. 10 timeless lessons to rise, endure, and live with purpose. Part 1. The Spark and the Storm. The beginning of fire. It always starts quietly. Not with fireworks, not with thunder, but with a whisper. Sometimes it happens on a sleepless night, when the weight of your thoughts is heavier than your body. Sometimes it happens in the middle of an ordinary day, at your desk, on your commute, in the mirror, when suddenly something inside you stirs. A voice, small but firm, whispers, "There must be more than this." That whisper is the beginning of your fire. It's not just dissatisfaction, it's awakening. The realization that you were never meant to merely exist, you were meant to become. And this is where the first truth of life begins. Lesson 1. Purpose makes the pain worth it. Purpose is not found in comfort. It is born in conflict. It grows not in moments of peace, but in moments of pain. When life hits hard, when your plans fall apart, when you lose people, when you face rejection or failure, that's not the universe punishing you. That's life sculpting you into who you were meant to be. Because without purpose, pain is chaos. But with purpose, pain becomes fuel. The mountain and the flame. Imagine standing before a mountain. The air is thin, your legs ache, your lungs burn. You've been climbing for hours, maybe days. Every step feels heavier than the last. Most people stop halfway. They say, "It's too hard. I'm tired." But those who carry purpose, they keep climbing. Not because it's easy, but because they know what's waiting at the top. That's the power of purpose. It gives pain a reason to exist. When the fire in your heart burns brighter than the fire around you, that's when you become unstoppable. The story of Mandela. Think of Mandela. 27 years in prison. 27 years of silence, separation, and solitude. Most people would have surrendered to bitterness, but Mandela didn't. He said, "When I walked out of that door toward freedom, I knew if I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I'd still be in prison." That's what purpose does. It liberates you from within. Mandela's purpose wasn't freedom for himself. It was freedom for his people. That's why he could endure the unendurable. When you live for something greater than yourself, suffering transforms into strength. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this shaping within me?" The two lives. We all live two lives. The second begins when we realize we only have one. Purpose starts there, when you wake up to the fact that time is running and you can't afford to spend your life asleep. Ask yourself right now, what makes you come alive? What would you fight for even if you lost everything? What pain are you willing to endure again and again and still show up? That's where your purpose hides. Not in what you enjoy, but in what you're willing to suffer for. The artist who paints despite rejection. The teacher who shows up even when students don't listen. The parent who sacrifices every comfort for their child's future. Purpose isn't always glamorous, but it's always sacred. Pain with a direction. When you're aligned with your purpose, pain stops feeling like punishment. It becomes the price of becoming. Edison failed 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. When asked about it, he smiled and said, I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps. Pain with a direction is progress. Pain without direction is despair. You can't escape pain. You can only choose which pain you're willing to live with, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Purpose helps you choose the right one. The 3 fires. There are 3 fires in every person's life. The fire of ambition, when you want to prove something to the world. The fire of mastery, when you want to prove something to yourself. The fire of meaning, when you no longer need to prove anything, you just want to serve something greater. The first fire burns hot, but fades fast. The second fire lasts longer, but still depends on success. The third fire, purpose, never dies. That's the fire that carried Mandela. That's the fire that drove Gandhi. That's the fire that made ordinary humans immortal. When you find that fire, nothing can stop you. Not time, not fear, not failure. Finding your why. Your why is your compass in chaos. When you forget your why, you get lost in how. How will I make it? How will I survive? How will I succeed? The how doesn't matter until you remember the why. When your why is strong enough, you can endure almost any how. So find your reason. Because life without purpose is like running a race with no finish line, exhausting and empty. But life with purpose is like walking through a storm, knowing that every step, no matter how painful, brings you closer to the sun. Lesson 2. Discipline is freedom. If purpose gives your life direction, discipline gives it momentum. Purpose tells you why you must climb the mountain. Discipline teaches you how. And the truth is brutal but beautiful. Motivation gets you started. Discipline keeps you going. The lie of motivation. We live in a world obsessed with motivation. Stay inspired, find your spark, wait for the right moment. But here's the truth. Motivation is a mood. Discipline is a muscle. Motivation depends on emotion. It's unreliable. Discipline depends on decision. It's unbreakable. Motivation says, I'll work out when I feel ready. Discipline says, I'll work out whether I feel ready or not. Motivation is excitement. Discipline is commitment. And commitment always wins. The quiet power of habit. Every master you admire, the athlete, the artist, the entrepreneur, they all share one invisible secret: habit. They don't rely on feeling inspired. They rely on showing up.
Think of a sculptor. Each day, they chip away at marble, sometimes for hours without progress. But they keep going because they know the shape will emerge only through consistency. That's what discipline is. Not loud, not dramatic, just consistent, quiet, relentless. The small things you do every day shape the person you become far more than the big things you do occasionally. Freedom through structure. Discipline often looks like restriction from the outside, but inside, it's freedom. When you're disciplined, you're no longer a slave to mood swings, distractions, or procrastination. You move with intention, not impulse. Imagine 2 people. One wakes up and does what they feel like. The other wakes up and does what needs to be done. A month later, one has excuses, the other has results. True freedom isn't doing whatever you want, it's having the power to do what's right even when you don't want to. That's why the most disciplined people are also the most free. They own their time, their choices, their future. Discipline is love. Most people think discipline is punishment. It's not. It's love in its most powerful form. When you discipline yourself, you're saying, I care enough about my future to sacrifice my comfort today. That's love. Love for your goals, love for your potential, love for the person you're becoming. If you truly love yourself, you'll stop letting your feelings dictate your future. The athlete's lesson. Kobe Bryant once said, rest at the end, not in the middle. That's discipline. It's not about working endlessly. It's about honoring your promise to yourself. When he woke up at 4 a.m. to train while the world slept, he wasn't chasing attention, he was chasing mastery. He understood that greatness isn't given, it's earned through repetition, through resilience, through relentless effort. That's the paradox. The harder you work, the freer you become, because you no longer depend on luck or inspiration, only your will. Discipline in small things. Don't underestimate small acts. The way you brush your teeth, make your bed, clean your desk. These small disciplines build your foundation. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. Do the small things right, and the big things follow. Every day you show up, even when tired, even when uninspired, you send a message to the universe. I am ready for more. And the universe always responds. When discipline meets purpose. Purpose without discipline is a dream with no engine. Discipline without purpose is effort with no direction. But when purpose and discipline meet, destiny begins. One gives meaning, the other gives momentum. One ignites the fire, the other keeps it burning. That's why every great life is a balance of both, passion and persistence, inspiration and repetition, dream and duty.
The test of the storm. There will be days when you don't see progress, days when you question your path, days when the storm feels endless. That's when discipline must take the lead. Discipline doesn't care about feelings. It only cares about the mission. When the world says rest, discipline whispers one more step. When doubt screams you can't, discipline says watch me. Purpose gives you a reason to enter the storm. Discipline gives you the strength to walk through it. The unshakable core. The goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is to be consistent, because consistency compounds. One page a day becomes a book. One workout a day becomes a body of strength. One moment of patience becomes a lifetime of peace. And when the days are long and progress invisible, remember this: every disciplined act is a brick. Keep building. Because the world doesn't reward those who start. It rewards those who finish. The fire never dies. At some point, the whisper that started it all, the one that said there must be more than this, will become a roar. You'll look back at the storms you endured, the nights you doubted, the moments you almost gave up, and you'll realize you were never being destroyed. You were being forged. Purpose gave you the fire, discipline kept it alive. Together, they made you unshakable. Part 2. The Beauty of Brokenness. The silence after the storm. There's a strange kind of silence that follows heartbreak, failure, or loss. It's not peaceful, it's hollow, the kind that echoes. You wake up one morning and everything feels heavier. The music doesn't sound the same, the mirror shows a stranger. And no matter how loud the world is, inside,
It's quiet, painfully quiet. That silence is where brokenness lives, but it's also where rebirth begins. Lesson 3. Pain teaches what comfort cannot. Pain is the teacher that never lies. It doesn't flatter you, it doesn't make you feel good, but it always tells the truth. You can learn 1,000 lessons in success, but none will teach you as deeply as a single moment of pain. The mirror of suffering. When life is easy, you don't ask questions. You move on autopilot, drifting through routines, half awake. But when pain hits, heartbreak, failure, loss, rejection, suddenly everything stops. You start to look deeper. Who am I really? Why am I here? What truly matters? That's why pain is sacred. It wakes you up. It rips away illusions and forces you to face yourself, unfiltered, unguarded, raw. Most people run from pain their entire lives. But the wise, they listen to it. They sit with it. They learn from it. The art of kintsugi. In Japan, there's an ancient art called kintsugi, the art of repairing broken pottery with gold. When a bowl breaks, instead of throwing it away, the Japanese artisans fill its cracks with lacquer mixed with powdered gold. The result? A bowl more beautiful than before, not despite its cracks, but because of them. That's what pain can do to you. It can make you stronger, wiser, more compassionate, more beautiful in your brokenness. Your scars are not signs of weakness. They are proof that you healed. The paradox of growth.
Think of a seed. Before it can grow into a tree, it must first break open in the dark. The breaking isn't failure, it's transformation. Pain works the same way. It breaks the surface of who you were so something new can grow. Every great transformation begins in darkness. The butterfly in the cocoon, the diamond in the pressure, the soul in the struggle. The desert of waiting. There will come a time when you feel stuck, like nothing is working, like life has forgotten you. You'll look around and see others moving forward while you're standing still. That's the desert. But here's the truth. Nothing is wasted there. The desert is where roots grow deep. It's where patience is forged. It's where you learn to walk by faith, not by sight. When everything is stripped away, you discover what you truly have and who you truly are. The pain of becoming. You cannot become the person you were meant to be without outgrowing the person you were. And outgrowing hurts. Growth is not gentle. It's messy, emotional, unpredictable. It means saying goodbye to habits, people, and versions of yourself that once felt safe. It means walking away from the comfort of what was to enter the uncertainty of what could be. Pain isn't punishment. It's preparation. Every tear, every heartbreak, every rejection is sculpting your strength, refining your soul, and reshaping your destiny. The story of the phoenix. There's a legend that the phoenix, a magnificent bird of fire, must burn itself to ashes before it can be reborn. Most people see the fire and run, but the phoenix? It embraces the flames. Because it knows the end is not the end. It's the beginning in disguise. That's the beauty of brokenness. The ashes of your past are not your prison. They are your foundation. From wound to wisdom.
When you survive pain, something miraculous happens. Your suffering becomes empathy. Your wounds become wisdom. You begin to see others not through judgment, but through understanding. You stop saying, "Why are they like that?" and start saying, "I've been there." The most compassionate people are often those who've suffered the most, because pain softens pride and opens the heart. The gift of perspective. Pain has a strange way of revealing what really matters. When you're on the edge, all the noise falls away: money, status, validation. Suddenly, what you crave isn't success, it's peace. Not recognition, but meaning. Not attention, but connection. Pain gives you perspective. It shows you that the things you once thought were everything were just distractions. You start to live lighter, simpler, freer. Lesson 4. Failure is the beginning, not the end. Failure has always been misunderstood. We treat it like death, something final, something shameful. But failure isn't the opposite of success. It's the foundation of it. The myth of perfection. We grow up taught to fear mistakes. We hide our failures, edit our imperfections, filter our flaws. But here's the secret. Success is just failure refined over time. Every inventor, artist, athlete, or entrepreneur you admire, they didn't win because they avoided failure. They won because they used it.
Failure is feedback. It's information. It's direction. The story of Edison. Thomas Edison didn't fail to invent the light bulb 1,000 times. He discovered 1,000 ways that didn't work. Each failure brought him one step closer to success because he refused to take it personally. That's what separates the dreamers from the doers. Dreamers quit when it hurts. Doers learn when it hurts. The student of failure. Every failure contains a lesson, but only for those humble enough to learn it. When something doesn't work, don't ask, "Why me?" Ask, "What is this teaching me?" Failure strips away ego. It humbles you. It reminds you that you're human. And paradoxically, that humility becomes your greatest strength. Because those who are humble enough to learn are strong enough to rise. The champion's secret. Michael Jordan missed more than 9,000 shots, lost almost 300 games. 26 times he was trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. But when asked about it, he said, "I have failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." That's the mindset of a champion. Not "I never fail," but "I never stop." Failure doesn't break champions, it builds them. The lesson of the blacksmith. Imagine a blacksmith forging a sword. He heats the metal until it glows, then hammers it again and again. Each strike looks violent, each blow looks destructive, but with every hit, the sword becomes sharper, stronger, and more resilient. That's what failure does to you. Each setback, each rejection, each mistake, it's life's hammer, shaping your edge. You're not being broken. You're being forged. The failure of fear. The only real failure is not trying. Fear whispers, "What if it doesn't work?" Faith answers, "What if it does?" Most people never fail big because they never try big. They live safely, comfortably, quietly, and call it being realistic. But the truth is, they've traded potential for protection, and that's the most dangerous trade of all. The courage to begin again. Every failure is an invitation
to begin again more intelligently. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers before Harry Potter was accepted. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination. Steve Jobs was fired from his own company. They all had one thing in common. They didn't let the end be the end. They understood that sometimes life closes doors to force you to find new ones. The evolution within. Failure doesn't just change your path, it changes you. It replaces arrogance with awareness. It replaces pride with patience. It replaces fear with faith. It teaches you that success isn't about being perfect, it's about being persistent. Every time you rise after falling, you build something no one can take from you. Character. The rhythm of falling and rising. Life is a dance of falling and rising. You fall, you learn, you rise, you fall again. But each time you rise a little higher because now you carry wisdom. The goal isn't to stop falling. The goal is to fall better, rise faster, and keep moving forward.
Because in truth, the only people who never fail are the ones who never try. The transformation of failure. If pain breaks you open, failure builds you back stronger. Together, they are the architects of growth. Pain teaches you what matters. Failure teaches you how to rebuild. They don't destroy you, they design you. And when you look back years later, you'll realize the moments you thought were endings were actually beginnings in disguise. The rise after the fall. One day, you'll wake up and realize that the things that once broke you no longer control you. You'll stand taller, speak clearer, move differently, because now you know pain can't scare you. Failure can't stop you. You've seen the worst and kept walking. That's the power of the broken who refuse to stay broken. They don't shine despite the scars, they shine because of them. The beauty of brokenness. Brokenness isn't your enemy, it's your rebirth. Because when everything falls apart, you finally see what's real. And what's real, your strength, your heart, your purpose, can never be destroyed. So don't hide your cracks. Don't erase your scars. Don't apologize for the fire that changed you. You are stronger because you broke. You are wiser because you fell. And you are beautiful because you rose. Part 3. The Quiet Warrior. The stillness before the strike. In every great warrior's life, there comes a moment, not of battle, but of stillness. A pause between storms. A silence before the next step. It's in that silence that true strength is tested. Because while the world praises speed, noise, and motion, mastery is born in patience, stillness, and restraint. This is where the quiet warrior lives, not in chaos, but in calm. Not in the hunger to fight, but in the wisdom to wait. Lesson 5. Patience builds what impulse destroys. We live in a world that worships urgency. We want success fast, love fast, answers fast. But anything built fast breaks fast. Patience, on the other hand, builds empires that last. The seed that waits. Imagine a farmer who plants a seed. He doesn't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. He waters it, tends the soil, waits through storms and seasons, and trusts that growth is happening underground. That's patience. You can't rush the process and still expect the results to last, because everything meaningful takes time. Growth, mastery, healing, love, peace. And yet, most people give up right before their roots touch water. The impatience of our age. We scroll fast, talk fast, move fast, and wonder why we feel lost. We chase 10 things at once and master none. We mistake activity for progress. But patience is the art of doing less, better. It's the discipline to slow down when the world speeds up. It's saying, I'd rather grow slowly and deeply than rise quickly and collapse. The truth is, most of your greatest growth won't come from doing more. It'll come from waiting well.
The bamboo lesson. Bamboo is one of the fastest growing plants in the world, but not at first. For the first 5 years, nothing happens above ground. It just grows roots, quietly, invisibly, deep below the soil. Then, in the 5th year, it shoots up more than 80 feet in just weeks. That's life. That's patience. The years when no one sees you, when you feel invisible, when you wonder if you're wasting your time, those are your root years. So don't curse the slow seasons. They're building the foundation for your rise. The test of waiting. Waiting isn't weakness. It's one of the purest forms of strength. Because patience means trusting something beyond your control. It means believing that time, when respected, will deliver what effort alone cannot. You don't become wise by moving faster. You become wise by observing longer. When you rush, you miss the lesson. When you wait, you understand it. The warrior and the wind. An ancient story tells of a warrior who sought to master his sword. He trained daily, striking trees, stones, and shadows. But no matter how hard he practiced, he could not defeat his master. One evening, he sat beneath a cherry blossom tree, frustrated. He watched the petals fall, slow, effortless, graceful. It was then that he realized power wasn't about force, it was about timing. The next day, when he fought again, he waited. He listened. He moved with precision, not haste. And for the first time, he won. Patience is timing. It's knowing when to move and when to stay still. The strongest warriors fight fewer battles because they wait for the right one. The trap of comparison. One of the greatest enemies of patience is comparison. You see someone else succeed and think you're behind. You see their harvest and forget their years of planting. Comparison kills gratitude. It makes you rush your season to match someone else's timeline. But the truth is, you can't bloom faster by looking at another flower. The sun rises for everyone at its own time. So be patient with your dawn. The reward of waiting. Patience always pays, not immediately, but inevitably. The right job, the right love, the right opportunity, they don't arrive when you chase them. They arrive when you grow into the person who can handle them. That's what patience is really about. It's not about waiting for things to change. It's about changing while you wait. Lesson 6. Master yourself. Master the world. If patience is your shield, self-control is your sword. Together, they make you unstoppable. Because no matter how powerful or intelligent you are, if you can't control your impulses, your emotions, or your reactions, you'll lose to someone who can. The battlefield within. Most people think battles are fought outside, in careers, relationships, or circumstances. But the real war is always internal. You can't conquer anything until you conquer yourself. The greatest victories are invisible. The moment you choose calm over anger, silence over argument, persistence over despair. That's what makes you powerful. Not what you control around you, but what you control within you. The story of the samurai. In feudal Japan, samurai trained not only in swordsmanship, but in stillness. They were taught to meditate before combat, to still the heart before drawing the blade. Why? Because emotion clouds judgment. Rage, fear, pride, they are easy to provoke and deadly when uncontrolled. The master's strength came not from aggression, but from composure. His silence was more dangerous than another man's shouting. That's mastery. The ability to remain calm in the chaos others drown in. The modern battle. Today's war isn't fought with swords. It's fought with screens, words, and emotions. You're bombarded with distractions, opinions, and noise. Every day, the world tempts you to react, to argue, to scroll, to rage. But here's the truth. Every time you react, you give away power. Every time you pause, you reclaim it. Power isn't in reacting faster. It's in responding wiser. The strength of stillness. Stillness isn't laziness, it's strategy. When you pause before reacting, you see the bigger picture. When you breathe before speaking, you choose words that heal, not harm. When you observe before acting, you make decisions that build, not break. That's how the quiet warrior wins, not through noise, but through nuance. Stillness is a superpower in a world addicted to reaction. The flame and the vessel. Anger is like fire. It can warm or destroy, depending on whether you control it or it controls you. Self-mastery isn't about extinguishing emotion. It's about directing it. You can't stop the flame, but you can build a vessel strong enough to hold it. Your vessel is discipline, awareness, wisdom. When these grow stronger, even the fiercest emotion becomes fuel. The shadow work. Mastering yourself also means meeting the parts of you that you've buried. Your fears, your insecurities, your ego. You can't master what you refuse to face. So instead of running from your flaws, sit with them, study them, understand them. They are not your enemies, they are the teachers of your evolution. The person who knows their weaknesses can't be destroyed by them. The practice of presence. Self-control isn't just about restraint. It's about presence. To be present is to be fully here, fully conscious, not dragged by memories or fears of the future. Because when you're truly present, no emotion can control you. You see it rise and fall like waves. Presence gives you power over reaction. You stop living like a puppet pulled by emotion and start living like a pilot guiding a ship. The story of Marcus Aurelius. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius ruled one of the most powerful empires in history. Yet every night he wrote in his private journal not about glory or victory, but about humility and self-discipline. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength.
He faced war, betrayal, and loss, yet remained grounded because he mastered his inner world. That's the heart of Stoicism and the soul of the quiet warrior. Wind within, and you can't lose without. The art of detachment. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care deeply, but without desperation. When you let go of control, not of effort, but of outcome, you find peace. Because stress is born from the illusion that you can control everything. Peace comes from accepting that you can't. So you do your best, release the rest, and trust time to do its work. That's self-mastery. The power of a calm mind. A calm mind is a weapon. It sees clearly when others panic. It chooses patience when others rush. It speaks truth when others shout noise. In chaos, calmness is control. So train your mind like a warrior trains their body. Daily, deliberately, quietly. Meditate, reflect, journal, observe. It's not weakness, it's preparation. When stillness becomes strength. At first, stillness feels uncomfortable. You'll want to move, react, fix, escape. But stay, because in that stillness you'll meet the real you. Not the noisy, fearful, restless you, but the one that doesn't need validation or noise to exist. That version of you is unshakable. It's the part that listens while others speak, waits while others rush, understands while others assume. That's the essence of mastery. Quiet power. Becoming the quiet warrior. The quiet warrior doesn't chase control. They embody it. They don't seek peace. They create it. They move with purpose, not pressure. They wait without fear. They fight only when necessary. And when they do, they win without hatred. Because their real battle isn't with the world. It's with their own weakness. And every day they win that battle, they become a little freer. The lesson of the river. A river doesn't resist the rocks in its path. It flows around them. Steady, patient, unstoppable. That's what it means to master yourself. You don't fight every obstacle. You adapt, flow, and keep moving. Over time, even the hardest stone yields to the soft persistence of water. Patience, self-control, consistency. That's how mountains are moved, not by force, but by flow. The mastery within. The quiet warrior doesn't need applause. They don't need validation. Their reward is internal, knowing they stayed true to their principles in a world that forgot its own. Because in the end, the greatest power isn't to control others. It's to control yourself when life refuses to go your way. And once you master that, the storms calm, not because the world changed, but because you did. The power in the pause. So the next time you're angry, pause. The next time you're anxious, breathe. The next time you're lost, wait. The pause is where wisdom lives. It's where the quiet warrior regains control, refocuses, and remembers. The storm outside doesn't matter when you've mastered the weather within.
Conclusion. The warrior within you. You don't need a sword or armor to be a warrior. You just need self-control when chaos tempts you to lose it. You just need patience when the world demands urgency. Because when you can master your mind, you master your reality. And when you can stay calm in a world addicted to noise, you become the rarest kind of power, unshakable. Part 4. The Mind and the Mountain. The Silent Architect Within. Your life is built twice. First in your mind, then in the world. Every empire, invention, masterpiece, and movement was once a thought, invisible and fragile, existing only inside someone's imagination. The world you experience right now, your relationships, your career, your sense of self, was shaped by what you believed was possible. Your mind is the architect, and your beliefs are the blueprints. If you believe you're powerless, you'll act powerless. If you believe you're capable, you'll find ways to prove it true. The outside world doesn't determine your limits. Your internal dialogue does. The enemy within. The human mind is powerful, but it's also deceptive. It can either be your greatest ally or your most ruthless saboteur. It whispers doubts at 2 a.m. It tells you you're too late, too flawed, too unprepared. It replays scenes of your past failures like an endless film reel until you believe those mistakes define you. Most people lose the battle for their dreams long before they ever take the first step, because they surrendered inside their own minds. Your thoughts become your reality, not because of magic, but because they shape your focus. You don't see the world as it is. You see it as you are. If you walk through life expecting rejection, you'll find evidence everywhere that people don't value you. If you expect growth, opportunity, and learning, your mind will scan the world for proof of it. Whatever you feed your mind becomes the lens through which you see everything. The prison of limiting beliefs. From childhood, you were programmed by culture, by family, by the echoes of other people's fears. You were told what was realistic, what was too risky, what was not for people like you. Without realizing it, you built a mental prison out of those beliefs. And the bars weren't made of steel. They were made of assumptions. I'm not good enough. I don't have time. I'm not smart enough. People like me never make it. These sentences become invisible chains, not because they're true, but because you believe they are. The first step to freedom isn't changing your circumstances. It's challenging your story. Ask yourself, who told me this was true? Who decided that this is where my ceiling should be? Your mind, when left unguarded, becomes a voice that tells you to play small, not to protect you, but to keep you safe. But safety is not the same as peace. Sometimes peace comes only after you've fought the lies that live in your own head. The power of rewriting the script. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can always control what you make it mean. That's where true mental power begins. When something painful happens, a failure, a rejection, a loss, most people ask, why me? The ones who rise ask, what is this teaching me? They see setbacks as feedback. They rewrite their story in real time, refusing to let one bad chapter define the entire book. You can do the same. The next time your mind says, you can't, respond with, watch me. When it says, it's too late, remind it that every sunrise is proof you get another chance. When it says, you failed, whisper back, I learned. Your brain is wired to keep you safe, not successful. That's why courage will always feel uncomfortable, because your mind is trying to protect you from pain.
But if you only obey that voice, you'll live a life smaller than your soul intended. Lesson 8. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move anyway. The illusion of fear. Fear isn't your enemy. It's a compass pointing toward the thing that matters most. You don't fear what's meaningless. You fear what's sacred. You fear failure because you care about success. You fear rejection because you crave connection. You fear speaking your truth because deep down you know how powerful it is. If you feel fear, it's proof you're standing at the edge of something important. The people who appear fearless are not without fear. They've simply learned to act despite it. They've realized that fear doesn't disappear before action, it dissolves through action. Courage is a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows when you use it. The more you face fear, the quieter it becomes. The mountain story. There's an old story of a climber who looked up at a mountain so tall it pierced the clouds. Everyone told him he'd never make it. The air was thin, the paths were dangerous, and many had tried and failed. But the man said, "The mountain was placed before me for a reason. If I conquer it, I'll discover who I am." He began to climb. The first few days were easy. The view was beautiful, the weather kind. But as he ascended, the path grew cold and steep. His legs trembled, his lungs screamed. Doubt crept in. He wanted to quit 1,000 times, but every time he looked back and saw how far he'd come, he whispered, "I didn't climb this far just to stop now." When he finally reached the peak, he expected to feel triumph, but instead he felt silence. He realized the true reward wasn't the view from the top. It was the transformation that happened on the way up. Courage doesn't give you the mountain. It gives you the strength to keep climbing when it hurts. The fear loop. Here's the paradox of fear. The more you avoid it, the more power it has. Every time you run from discomfort, you reinforce the belief that you can't handle it. But every time you face it, you prove to yourself that you can. That's how courage compounds. It's not built through big, heroic moments. It's built through small daily choices to lean into discomfort.
When you make that difficult phone call, when you take that risk, when you speak your truth, even if your voice shakes, you're training your nervous system to see fear not as danger, but as expansion. You're teaching your brain that fear isn't fatal, it's fuel. The choice in every moment. Courage isn't something you find, it's something you decide. Every moment gives you two paths, the path of comfort or the path of growth. One preserves who you are, the other creates who you could be. The comfortable path feels safe, but it leads nowhere new. The courageous path feels uncertain, but it's the only one that leads to transformation. You don't have to feel ready to be brave. You just have to take the next small step. Courage isn't about jumping off cliffs. It's about making the call when you're scared, starting the project when you feel unqualified, choosing honesty when lying would be easier. It's about doing the right thing even when it hurts. From fear to freedom. There's a line where your old self ends and your new self begins, and that line is drawn by fear. Every time you cross it, you become someone new. When you face fear, you strip it of its power. You begin to realize that fear never truly leaves, it just changes form. But with every act of courage, you build trust in yourself. And that trust becomes your freedom. The greatest freedom in life isn't money or fame. It's the freedom to act,
speak, and live in alignment with your truth, even when you're scared. That's what it means to be unshakable. The inner dialogue of a brave soul. When your mind says, "You can't do this," answer, "Maybe not yet, but I'm willing to try." When fear says, "You're not ready," say, "No one ever is." When doubt says, "What if you fail?" smile and whisper, "Then I'll learn faster than anyone else." You don't need to eliminate fear to move forward. You just need to carry it with you, like a passenger, not a driver. Fear can sit in the back seat, but your purpose holds the wheel. The science of courage. Neuroscientists say fear is simply energy, a surge of adrenaline meant to prepare you for challenge. The pounding heart, the shaking hands, the dry mouth, those are not signs of weakness. They are your body arming itself for action. Fear doesn't mean stop. It means go carefully. It means something important is at stake. The mind interprets fear as danger, but your soul interprets it as destiny. The bridge between mindset and courage. Your mindset determines whether fear becomes your cage or your compass. If your mind is trained to avoid discomfort, courage will always feel impossible. But if your mind is trained to seek growth, courage becomes second nature. The key isn't to remove fear, it's to reframe it. When your brain says, "This feels risky," translate it as, "This is where I expand." When it says, "What if I fail?" reframe it as, "What if I learn faster?" Fear is not a stop sign. It's an arrow.
The moment of truth. Someday, you'll stand at a crossroads between who you are and who you could be. You'll feel the weight of uncertainty pressing on your chest. You'll want to run back to comfort, but something inside you, small, stubborn, and sacred, will whisper, "Keep going." That's your soul remembering what it came here to do. That's courage. That's growth. That's the beginning of the person you were meant to become. Final reflection. The mind and the mountain. Your greatest mountain is not out there. It's the one within, the mountain of fear, doubt, and disbelief. But every step you take toward it rewires your identity. Every breath of courage reshapes your destiny. Climb not because it's easy. Climb because it's who you are. Your mind is your mountain. And the moment you master it, you'll realize you were never climbing toward freedom. You were climbing back home. Part 5. The light you leave behind. The dawn of reflection. As the sun rises, spilling gold across the earth, it reminds us of something essential. Time does not wait. Every second that passes is a brushstroke on the canvas of your life, a canvas that only you hold the brush for. What will your canvas look like when no one is watching? What story will your footprints tell? Most people live their lives like shadows, fading into routines that leave no mark. They chase comfort, approval, and temporary pleasures, forgetting that the only thing that lasts is the impact they leave behind. Legacy is not about wealth or status. It's about resonance, the echoes of your actions, your courage, your compassion, and your persistence long after you're gone. Lesson 9. Build a life worth remembering. Imagine standing at the edge of your life, looking back. The details of your worries, the hours scrolling through screens, the safe choices that never challenged you, all of it fades.
What remains is how you showed up, what you created, and how you made others feel. A life worth remembering is one where you dared to be more than average, where you took risks not for attention, but for growth, where you chose to rise even when every part of you wanted to sit down. The architects of legacy. Think about people who left indelible marks on the world. Martin Luther King Jr. dreamed of a world where equality was not a question but a right, and he dedicated every breath to making it a reality. Marie Curie defied societal expectations, pursued science relentlessly, and changed medicine forever. Elon Musk embraced audacity, failed spectacularly multiple times, and still pushed humanity toward the stars. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't wait for comfort. They weren't deterred by fear or doubt. And neither should you. Your life is your story. Every decision is a sentence. Every action is a paragraph. Will your story inspire, transform, and ignite courage in others? Or will it be forgotten like countless forgotten tales?
Legacy isn't only built in grand gestures. It's also built in the small, consistent choices, the things you do daily when no one is watching. Helping someone without expecting thanks. Showing integrity when dishonesty is easier. Pushing yourself past limits because you know growth happens outside comfort. The world notices more than you think. Even a single act of courage or kindness can ripple for generations. Ask yourself, what will people say about me when I'm not in the room? Will they remember your excuses or your victories, your fear or your bravery? The mirror of your actions. One night, years from now, you may look back and realize the life you wanted wasn't in some faraway dream. It was created moment by moment, choice by choice, action by action. Your legacy is not a matter of fame or fortune. It's about consistency. It's about courage. It's about turning your potential into kinetic energy, your vision into reality, and your dreams into impact. Lesson 10. Transform pain into power, legacy into action. Every person carries scars, visible and invisible. Everyone has endured storms, heartbreaks, failures, betrayals, and moments that tested the very core of their being. Most people bury their pain. They hide it under smiles, distractions, and false confidence. But the strongest people do something radically different. They harness it. Pain is not a curse. It is a compass pointing toward transformation. It is the fuel that can forge discipline, resilience, and empathy. From darkness to light. Consider someone who's been betrayed. They can either shrink and hide, or they can use the experience to understand others, strengthen their boundaries, and become a voice for those who've been silenced. Consider someone who's been rejected. They can let it define their self-worth, or they can channel it into relentless effort, becoming the person who doesn't just survive rejection, but thrives because of it. Your pain is material. Treat it as raw energy and shape it into your story. Your suffering can become a bridge for someone else to cross, a beacon showing that survival is possible and thriving is inevitable. The power of influence. No act of courage, no lesson learned, no battle fought in silence is ever wasted. Even if it feels invisible, it resonates. You may not know it, but someone, somewhere, sees your determination, your persistence, your refusal to quit. They will remember your example, and it will inspire them to rise.
Legacy is cumulative. It's built by showing up every day and refusing to settle for mediocrity. It's built by choosing growth, resilience, and action even when life is heavy and hope feels thin. Your life as a lighthouse. Think of your life as a lighthouse on a stormy night. The wind rages. The waves crash. Darkness surrounds the horizon. Yet your light, forged from your courage, consistency, and wisdom, pierces the darkness. Others will see it. They may not always follow immediately. They may question your choices. They may even try to extinguish your flame.
But your light is yours to hold, and it will guide someone safely to shore long after your own journey continues. The continuity of purpose. Legacy is not something you postpone for retirement or old age. It is the sum of every choice you make today. When you study, when you create, when you push yourself past fear, you are building the foundation of your influence. When you care deeply, when you act with integrity, when you rise after failure, you are crafting a blueprint for others to follow. The ripple effect of your life is infinite. Your actions, no matter how small, will touch more lives than you realize. From dreams to reality. Too often, people mistake dreaming for doing. They believe that inspiration is enough. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect conditions, the perfect plan. But dreams are only potential. Action turns potential into reality. Every time you act despite fear, fatigue, or uncertainty, you transform the intangible into tangible. Your legacy isn't a trophy. It's the transformation you create, in yourself, in others, in the world. Embrace the responsibility. Here's a truth few acknowledge. No one will carry your vision for you. Friends won't push you harder than you push yourself. Teachers won't demand your greatness. Society won't reward your potential without effort. You must pick yourself. You must believe in yourself. You must work with an obsession that eclipses distraction and doubt. And once you do, your life becomes more than a biography. It becomes a beacon. The final choice. Imagine your life as a story, one unfinished, with chapters yet to be written. You have two choices. Fill the pages with excuses, hesitation, and regret, or fill them with courage, resilience, and action that leaves a lasting mark. Which will you choose? Every moment matters. Every choice counts. The clock is ticking, the canvas waits, the world waits. And the only one who can start your masterpiece is you, the eternal echo. When your body is gone, your presence will remain. Not in statues or monuments, but in the people you've touched, the lives you've transformed, the inspiration you've ignited. You were given this life not to drift unnoticed. You were given this fire to rise, to shine, to challenge, and to leave behind a light so strong that even long after you're gone, it burns. Your life is not for approval. It is for action. It is for purpose. It is for legacy. Closing reflection. The light you leave behind. Stand before the mirror. See the person staring back. The one who has endured, suffered, and still breathes. The one who is capable of more than they've ever allowed themselves to imagine. Ask yourself, am I living or am I merely existing? Then, choose deliberately. Rise, act, create, love, teach, fight, build. Leave behind a life that whispers to the next generation. You can rise too. You can endure. You can leave a light that will outshine the darkness.
If this message hit you, then don't just watch and leave. Like this video, share it to someone who needs this wake-up, and subscribe to this channel. Study yourself 1 hour a day. We are building a different breed here,
A new generation of doers. People who don't wait for permission. People who build themselves daily. People who compound quietly and become untouchable over time. Hit subscribe. Join the movement. 1 hour a day, every day. And in 1 year, your future self will not recognize you anymore. Let's grow. Let's execute. Let's dominate our own potential. Subscribe now and start becoming the person nobody can compete with.